Hey, welcome back. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining the channel. Hope you're all well. So it's a Monday and fresh new day of the week, fresh new project for the bench. So this is a Marantz 2252B. This is the second piece of equipment my client Dean brought me. He brought me the Sansui 8 Deluxe, and we saw that already. So this is the other piece of equipment. Now, when I had discussions with Dean about what he wanted from me as a tech, he expressed that this didn't sound good at all. He loves the receiver, looks great. It does look great. I love the look of this. It's in pristine condition, and it does need cleaning to make it really sparkle like a gem, but it looks really good. But anyways, we get back to this. He said that he doesn't like the sound of it. It doesn't sound good to him. Now, he had it in other places that had done service to it. He doesn't know exactly what they did, but they did do LEDs in the dial scale and the meters. And he commented that if I want, I can go in there and change them because they don't look quite right. The color of the dial scale doesn't match the color of the meters. They have like a different blue, and if I can plug it in and turn it on and show you. We'll do that later. But let's talk about this first. So he wasn't happy with the sound of this receiver. And okay, so I said, okay, bring over the Sansui and the Marantz, and I'll get started on both of them. We'll get them fixed. So he said, I'm going to go back in time and talk about the Sansui that I just finished. He said he enjoyed the sound of the Sansui 8 Deluxe. And I connected it to the bench and listened to it for about 3 days. And I agree with him. It did sound okay. It sounded pretty good. But now that I finished the recap on it and put it back on the bench, I'm listening to it right now. And it sounds better than when he brought it in. It sounds fantastic. Now, he says this doesn't sound that great. So I put this one on the bench and listened to it. The first day, I had to agree with him. It didn't sound good at all. It was flat. The bass was really muddy and boomy, and it just didn't really sound pleasing. It wasn't very nice to listen to. But then I continued listening to it for a few more days, and it got better. It seemed to, as time went on, it started sounding better and better every day. Now, I listened to it for about a week and a half, and I really enjoyed listening to this. It sounded great towards the end. Now, I'm thinking if there's a number of things at play here. Capacitors are the big thing. On this older equipment, when you have a lot of capacitor coupled circuits and capacitors in the signal path, when you have degradation of those capacitors, your sound quality is going to go down. You might have degradation in one channel or both channels, and that's why you don't get a balanced sound anymore. Now, I've noticed this before when I've pulled equipment out of storage. It's been sitting in hiatus for maybe a decade or more. I pull it out, plug it in, try it out. It sounds terrible, right? And I'm thinking, wow, this is awful. But then if you let it be powered on and give it some time, the capacitors inside are reforming, and the sound comes back, and it comes back more refined, cleaner, more balanced. Now, this is not scientific data I'm giving you. This is my experiences. So, when I first started listening to this, it sounded horrible, and I gave it a few days. It sounded really good. So I have a feeling the capacitors are probably okay in this. There's probably some that are getting weak, but he wanted it recapped anyway, so we're going to do a recap on this. And I agree, these old pieces of equipment shouldn't have original caps in it anymore. But my opinion is these pieces of equipment from this era, they all need to have new capacitors. Running with the old ones just doesn't do it any favors in the sound quality. Now, if you want, you can go in the comments and rip that all to shreds. It doesn't really bother me one way or the other. But I'm just giving you my experiences, and I've experienced this before on many receivers where I've took them out, listened to them, and they sound bad. And you know. All right, so what are we going to do with this thing? Well, let's plug it in and show you a few. One thing I liked about this is all the controls are clean, all the switches are working properly, there's no dropouts. It sounds like the relay is working good, but we're going to pull that relay out and check it. I just want to show you the dial indicator lamps. Okay, let me kill some lights here. Turn that one off. And turn this one off too. And we'll give it. So here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but this blue doesn't match this blue at all. And these are LEDs on this side. I don't know what they put on this side. They might be LEDs. There's some, it looks like warm white that's bleeding through on these dots. And you can't see them there. You see these dots. It looks like a warm white LED, and behind there, if that is an LED. And this just looks wrong. It just doesn't look right. And plus there's light bleeding out the back here somewhere. I can see all the electronics are lit up inside, so might have to do some shielding or light blocking to keep that light from flooding back. Okay, let's have a look inside. Okay, the lid is pretty dirty. I don't think it's ever been cleaned. You can see the dust, but I think with a nice scrub this will really come out nice. This is a black vinyl wrap. And everything looks good inside. There's no scorch marks, no a little bit of corrosion right here. No bad smoke staining. So we're doing pretty good. Alright, and we're in. Looks all original. Very nice. I think this will be easy to work on, other than, well, this amplifier I think comes out because yeah, well, I think it's all removable. It's got original Marantz branded silicon on the outputs. A little bit dusty and dirty here, but that's no big deal. Yeah, it's very nice condition. I don't see a lot of heat scorching anywhere. I don't think it's seen a lot of heavy use, so that's good. Yeah, really nice. So for some odd reason, my client took the feed off before he brought it over to me. I don't understand why he would do that, but it doesn't really matter. The bottom comes off for the duration anyway, so it just makes it difficult to move it around, and you can't get your fingers under it. This thing is so bloody heavy. I don't know if I'm getting old and weak or if these are just getting heavier with time, but original dust. Yeah, I just find these are very difficult to move around when they're heavy like this. Alright, everything's looking good under here. Oh, wait a second. I spoke too soon. I don't know if this is legit. Somebody put a transistor here. Maybe they were substituting and they didn't want to take the board out. Weird. Somebody has, yeah, there's ink here too. Somebody's worked on this because there's markings in felt. So they marked the output transistors left and right, and then the 2SAs, 2SCs. So somebody had this apart. Definitely working on it. I don't know what they did. Looks like I got a lot of caps to change, so I've been getting busy on this. I'll take apart, to remove everything on the front. Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of dirt and dust in behind here. Now that I got it up, and you can see all the dirt that's in behind here. This needs a good cleaning, but it'll come out very nice when I'm done. So right now I don't have any repairs to make. All I'm going to be doing is recapping and keeping my eyes open for anything I can find. I'm going to scrutinize the relay. I can already tell from the soldering on this relay, somebody's been in here working on that relay. They've had it out, and I think they've had it out once, at least once. And this transistor here has got me kind of concerned. I can show you this. Somebody tacked the 2SC 1006 you tacked it on from the bottom of the board. Since I'm removing the board, I can fix that. I can put the resistor back on top, and then I can check if this doesn't match the other channel. I can put matching transistors in there just to keep it happy. But yeah, this will be nice to work on, this one. It's going to be a little chore getting this amplifier out because they have all the power wires connecting directly to from the board to the cap. So I have to disconnect these wires before I can get this out, unless the caps go with it. All I need to do is pull the amplifier out enough so that I can flip it up and I can clean, change caps, and make sure the board's 100%. But everything looks good. I don't see anything that's really standing out on this receiver. And like I said, I test drove it for over a week and it sounded really good. No problems with the switches or pots. So I'm not going to touch any switches and pots. Usually when that's the case, I don't like spraying anything into them if they're working fine already, because I don't think you're gaining anything. Okay, just doing recap. Finish the recap. I'm going to say it's going to be necessary for this receiver. That's all I'm going to say. Now I replaced that transistor that the previous tech did. I put a KSC 1845, and I'm going to go with 1845 and A992s. But I pulled out another transistor and I saw something kind of alarming. It's got black fuzz disease. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to show you here. You can see on those two outside legs, you got black fuzz going down the legs. That's actually some kind of corrosion. I'm going to pull all these transistors out and replace them because I can see it on every single transistor. These are the ones that have they look like the top hat. I don't know if you can see this. They have like a kind of like a hat look to them. That's why I call them top hats. They're an old transistor. And I can see on every single one of them they got the black fuzz disease on the legs. So I'm going to replace all these transistors in the tone amplifier anyway. At least in the tone amplifier. And let me see here about the phono stage. Oh yeah, phono stage has it too. And it's got the same problem. So I think this receiver needs to get new transistors. Now what I think I'll do is at the end of the video I'll pull out the microscope and we can look at these together and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, I think it's been a while since I did a switch tutorial, but I think this one's going to get one today. Now this switch actually was functioning just fine. I had no issues with it when I was testing the amplifier or the receiver. You know, there was no cutouts, channel cutouts. Both channels were there, everything switched fine. But I'm looking at it here and we got some problems. I don't know, I pulled the switch out because I can see corrosion in here. I don't know if you can see it on the copper. There's some green on some of these traces. And the contacts are very black, oxidized. So let's do a switch cleaning today. Take 15 minutes of our time. Bought some blue shop tails. Let's see how this works. So let's disassemble the switch. When you remove the switch, you're going to have to desolder all these pins. Okay? These switches are used in a lot of different receivers, not just Marantz. I've seen them in Akai's, I've seen them in Rotels, I've seen them, I think even Realistic uses them. I've seen them in a lot of, because it's just a standard Alps switch. If you look here in the top corner, you can see the Alps logo. So that's a fairly common switch made in Japan. So these switches appear in a lot of different brands, so it's not just Marantz specific. So I think this is good today. Today we can do this. So let's open the switch up. First thing you want to do is position it one way or the other. Okay, we got our flat. There's a shaft running through the center, and I don't know if you can see it on the end. So we'll go fully counterclockwise, and we'll leave our switch position that way. That way we don't get confused when we do our reassembly. So this is typically what I do. Other people have different ways of doing it. This is the way I do it. So if you don't want to watch, go fast forward through this. So remove these springs. Just push down on it and shove it under This is the hard one. Let me try this side. There. Get it to slide out from underneath that hook. And then the ball bearing's going to fall out. Remove the switch, the spring. Okay, we'll deal with that later. And then do the other side as well. This side's easier. Okay, that's out of the way. Now we don't have our detents anymore. Now, next thing to do is, you see these 4 tangs, you need to straighten them because they bend them to lock them in place. So we just unbend them and straighten them out. Looks good. And then we're going to get in here and pry the front off. Now pay attention to which side this nub is on, this nub here, because if this switch is on a front faceplate, there's going to be a hole for that nub. And if you install this upside down and your nub's on the opposite side, well, you're going to have to take the switch apart. So pay attention to that nub, which side it's on, and then just pry this thing up, the front plate off of these 4 nubs. There. And then pull everything out as an assembly. Pull out the shaft, pull it from the switches. Okay, put this aside. Now we're going to focus on these 4 wafers. Now I already cleaned this one before I turned the camera on. And then I thought, well, maybe I should get the camera going here. But I'll show you what to do. You do these one at a time. If you take them all out at once, then you get them mixed up and then you forget. They're all different, okay? And they all get orientated the same way. This side has a solder, this side doesn't have solder, right? So you have to keep them orientated the same way, the same direction. And be careful with these pins. You don't want to snap any of these pins off, otherwise you're going to have to figure out a way to make a connection. So what I do is I take a pair of nibs or a screwdriver and bend this tang out, and then bend the other side out. And that frees up the wafer, and then you can just remove it. Now we get a good look at our wafer. Somebody's been spraying something in here. I don't know what this stuff is, but it's kind of dried up. And then we have corrosion on this. So let me get some alcohol. I'm just going to go with alcohol first and clean this corrosion off. Something got on there that's eating at the copper, and it's best just to remove it. Slow down or stop that corrosion. If it was really bad, you'd have to run jumper wires from down here up to this rivet, but there's quite a bit of dirt on there. Alright, this side here we can clean a bit of that out. It doesn't really matter. It's quite dirty. Now this is where things get tricky. We have to keep this center slot orientated the same way, and we have to orientate the switch the same way. So I could turn this switch 180 degrees and I can reinstall it. It would be wrong and the receiver wouldn't work properly. So we have to remember what side of the switch points down towards the terminals, so we don't get that messed up. So keep that in mind too. Another Q-tip, and I'm using for contacts, I'm using 401B neutral. It has a lubricant built in, so let's saturate a Q-tip, and then we'll just go to town cleaning this. Now what you don't want to do is bend any of these fingers that are so do what you can and then rotate it a bit and do the rest. But be careful, don't bend these fingers. So let's bend this, let's turn this backwards this way. This is really turning out nice. The 401B takes off the corrosion pretty good. And it's silver plating on, this will either be a brass or copper disc, silver plated, so that's why it turns black. Okay, I think we're done this side. Return it back to normal, and then we'll do this side. Let me spray this. And take your time, don't be in a rush. Because when you get in a rush, you start breaking things. And then you regret it after. And remember where your home position is all the time. Some of this stuff here is stubborn. I don't think these, somebody sprayed something on these switches, but I don't think doesn't have any residue on it. I really wonder what was sprayed on it to make it corrode like that. Okay, I'm going to leave that. I think it's good. Test its function. Lightly rotate it. If there's anything binding, investigate and correct it. If you bent one of these fingers, you might have to bend it slightly back up. But you don't want to mess with the fingers because once you distort them, it's impossible to get it back to its original positions. Okay, now we're going to treat. We're going to use some deoxit D100. We're going to use a very small amount. About that much. And then we work the switch. Okay, return to home position. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do some maintenance on these pins. I don't know if you can see this. See these blobs on the end? That is actually the manufacturer cut the end of the pin off, and it just folded over itself, and it's soldered there. So you can remove these things. They just impede the process here. So let's see if we can remove this one. Okay. And more here. I think I got it. Alright, now we straighten pins. This step will make it easier for you to insert the switch back into the PC board. So you got to make sure all these pins are straight. Take your time on this one too. Same when you're grabbing the switch, and don't manhandle it because you'll bend the pins up, and you don't want to risk breaking one of these pins off. Okay, I think they're all good. They're lined up that way, you can see, and they're lined up this way. Next thing is this one doesn't show it, but usually sometimes they crack. And then you get a bad connection, so I go through and resolder all these. because I did have a repair I did once on a Rotel where I serviced the switch and reassembled it, and one of these pins had a crack and I didn't notice, but it caused a channel dropout, and the client was complaining, well, this channel keeps dropping out, and it was directly because of one switch, but we couldn't figure out why until I took it apart and saw it had a crack. Alright, I think we're good. We are good. So what you do next is you reinstall it. Same orientation. Oops, wrong way. And then close these tangs up. And then we'll move on to the next switch. Okay. Look down the hole. They should all be lined up. If it's not, well, you take it back out and realign it. Okay, I'll do the last two, and then we'll do a reassembly. All right, just finished. So the main thing is take your time. Do one at a time. Make sure you assemble it in the correct order. Don't force things. You know, just be, if you're really, I suppose you could take pictures of each wafer, which order they go in, but it's really not necessary if you just do one at a time. That way they can't get mixed up. And just be careful and take your time. That's the main thing. So let's just get this cleaned up. Just going to some cleaner on this, and we're going to clean this. Clean the old grease off. You don't need to, I guess, but. And our home position is fully counterclockwise. Remember that from the beginning. Okay. And we can clean these things. The old grease. Now we go grease on the bearings. Okay. All right. Counterclockwise. Our tang's on the left side, I remember. You shove this back in. Just work it. You might not be aligned perfectly. Okay. Push this home. Drop a little bit of grease in the hole. Drop the ball. A little more grease on top. And let's put our spring back in. This is the tricky part. You can do it with tools or do it with your fingers, whatever works for you. There we go. Grease in the hole. This one's trickier. down hard enough and then get it to slide in. It's fighting me. Probably could have put these springs on before I inserted it on the assembly. Probably would have been better that way. I'm always known for doing things backwards. There we go. And the last step is lock it. So we're going to bend these tabs a slight amount to lock it. Got a good feel to it. And one last check on pin straightness. You can see if you look down the side and then look this way. If they're all straight, pop it back in the board and solder it home. Here's a look at the relay. I did check contact resistance before I pulled it apart. And one side was doing pretty good. It was still around 50 milliohms. This thing has 2 sets of contacts, but they're wired in parallel with each other with these. So we've got 2 sets of contacts, 1 wire coming out the side, and then we have 2 sets of contacts here. 1 pin here, 2 here. So yeah, they're effectively wiring in series, or in parallel, sorry. These were gold-plated silver contacts, but somebody went in here and went medieval on these contacts. Look at, they took a, looks like they took a file to them and completely filed them down. Now the relay's working. I'm not going to replace it. It was very dirty, so I did clean this. I'm going to reassemble and retest it. But we should have gold on these and buttons, but there's nothing. If you look on the back side, you can see the gold plating that still remains. But whatever, it is what it is. I don't think it's necessary to replace this. Like I said, one side was doing pretty good, the other side not so much, had a few ohms resistance. So I'm going to clean this, reassemble and retest, and then if it's all good, I'm just going to leave it. Does anybody know why Marantz put this heat shrink around these transistors? It seems to be deteriorating. You can't see this one, it's all rotting. Deteriorating and falling apart. These ones are okay. I can't see it. Would it be for thermal reasons? I'm just thinking of pulling that off and just leaving it naked. Let me know what you think. Okay, on to the lighting. So this is what was installed behind the meters. It's a typical LED replacement, and it's very unnatural color. It's a very light blue, almost a cold white, and yeah, so this is what I'm going to replace it with. This is a warm white LED. I don't know if you can see it too good. It's the camera probably doesn't do it justice, but it looks more identical to incandescent. So I'll replace these two. These white, well, they're light shrouds. That's what they are. They direct the light towards the meter. They're actually very brittle, and if you cough on them the wrong way, they'll just crumble. So you got to be careful working on these. And somebody has already broken off the tangs and just hot glued these in place, so I'll just have to do the same. Okay, so I'll get replacing these ones with the warm white, and we'll see if we have a better match, color match on the dial indicators. These ones up here are incandescent lamps still, and they're all still going strong, so I'm going to leave those alone. This piece here is paper, and it's just disintegrating. Somebody's tried repairing it a couple times in the past by gluing it, and it's just falling apart. And all it is, it's a light shield that goes above the dial pointer. I'm just going to cut a new piece out of this. This is insulating sheet. This is a fiber mat, and it's not paper. It's some kind of a plastic. So I'll just cut a new piece out of that, and you won't be able to tell the difference when I'm done. Up and running, just going through and doing all the adjustments. I did the DC balance. One channel was way out. Doing the idle current Got that all set up. And I went through and did an AM dial alignment. Brought in the scale pretty accurate. I did some FM. Now I'm doing FM discriminator, and I got the distortion down quite a bit. You see how we're on the 0.3% scale, so we're sitting at about 0.175% THD on the FM, which is pretty darn good. I'm happy with that. Now that everything's done and up and running, we can do a power test. I think we're ready. The bias is stable. I was monitoring it here, and it hasn't moved. So let's connect a load and start amping it up. The tuner worked out really nice. It's super sensitive. And let's just go a quick scan through the band, and I'll show you how it's picking up all the stations. This is my weakest station right here. Typically I don't get it down here in the dungeon, but it's coming in stereo. I got 1.5 bars, so let's have a listen. I love this tuning here. This is awesome. It just feels so good.
Wanna hear something?
I'm picking up a lot of noise. That's my location. There's a station buried in the noise there.
95.7 Cruise FM, where it's at. Another first-class parking experience. Book self-service.
Yeah, they all come in. They all come in nice and clear.
Casino is thrilled to bring you two of Canada's
I don't have an antenna hooked up. I just got it connected to my signal generator, and I shut the signal generator off. So.
Get in touch with us today. Learn more at
commercial free thanks to Service Credit Union.
FM's coming in great.
We'll get you where you're going way faster than walking. But if your view,
I thought I was doing pretty good before I started, but after I gave it a little bit more of a tune-up, it's even better. So.
if your vehicle needs work, come to J&J Auto.
Turn it up.
Okay, now let's have a little sound of AM here. AM's working pretty good too. Picked up a few stations that are not local, so I don't know what that means. I don't know what station this is. This is
playing all of your favorite Christmas songs to keep you in the Christmas spirit. AM 930, The Light.
9:30. Well, I'm at 10:30. Oh no, I'm not. Sorry, look, wrong scale.
One prominent defenseman, and you know I work with a lot, Kevin.
I don't know where this station's from.
Homes are presentable.
Yeah, but you get the idea. All right, we're wired in to do power test. Let's get this going, and then I can get this thing off my bench. I got lots more to do. One thing I noticed about this Marantz is it's really opposite to what I'm used to. Usually they have the power switch on the left-hand side, but this one's on the right. Volume's usually on the right. Your speaker switches are usually on the left, but this time they're on the right. It's just really odd layout. I find it really awkward to use sometimes. So let's turn this on. And now let's see here. We need our tone. Let's shut the tone off, turn on our load. And we should have our load up on the screen. Okay, why do we have one channel missing? I don't know. Let's see here. What's going on with this thing? That's my speaker connection. Okay. Yeah, that's the reason. Okay. Now we're good. So let's see here. Separate that. Let's get that separated. Alright, there's our clipping. Let's get clipping going right. I'm doing the top trace, not the bottom. Okay, so right there I think got 23.09 volts RMS. 1000 hertz. Let's start our timer and let's wait this one out. Here's our power going in, 230 watts. Alright, we're at the 10-minute mark here and this thing is doing really well. That's not even hot yet. It's just probably around 50 degrees. Let's see here if I can get a reading. Yeah, 54 on that side. 50 on that side. Yeah, it's doing really well. I'm pleased. This thing is okay. So let's reduce power. Let's do square wave tests. Let's put this down to about 1 watt. Right there. Alright, so that's 1000 hertz tone. Let's see how. This is our high filter. And our loudness. Okay, bass cut. Bass boost. Alright, mid-range cut, mid-range boost, treble cut, treble boost. It's doing good. Balance, it's nice and clean. Okay, let's go down. .100 hertz, not doing too bad. Here's a tilt at 30 hertz, 20 hertz, 10. It's pretty typical for an older cap coupled amplifier. Okay, let's go to the top end. 10 kilohertz. Actually doing pretty good. There's 20 kilohertz. And we start to lose it around probably around here somewhere. It's 55 kilohertz. Doing all right. Doing all right for this old girl. Okay, I think that's it. I am pleased with how it turned out. I'm going to do some more cleaning. I have to do a couple more few things. Mount that goes here and a few other little things. And then I'm going to wrap this up, put the lid on, and call her a day. So here's a look at the caps that went into this. For the most part, they're all good caps. You can't really fault, well, there was actually one that failed, but you can't actually fault any of these caps for not doing their job, because they were doing their job. The problem with these caps is their values are all over the place. These are all low noise coupling caps, Nippon Chemicon, and then there's some Elnas in here too. Yeah, their values are all over the place. Some of these are drying out. Some of these, yeah, the ESR is all different on them. So these are all coupling caps. So it's good to get all these out and get fresh caps in, and then you start to have a balance between the channels. This is mostly power supplies, and they were doing okay. I can't really fault any of these. There was one failed in here. 2 baud resistors are removed from the bottom of the amplifier circuit, and that's it. Okay, here I promised you a look at some of these transistors. Let's have a look at what's going on here. This is what we have. This is called, well, it's officially called electromigration, and it's a phenomenon known as ions that move when there's current flow. I don't understand how it works. I'll put a link down below for the Wikipedia explanation of it. Now, this in particular is silver migration, and for whatever reason, it's where it's coming from is, I think they silver plate the top half of the leads. The leads are, you know, that go up into the body of the transistor, where the silicon die chip is mounted, and they put the bond wires, and this whole thing's encapsulated in this, I think it's an epoxy, but this here is very, like, I can touch it and you can see it, it's like little crystals, and they're very fragile. They'll fall off and flake. Now what happens is, let's get another one. We've got lots of these to look at. Look at this one. They're all like this. What happens is these crystals can grow long enough, and then they start touching, and then you get your hissing, popping, sizzling noises in your speakers, and that's because you're going to get current flow going through these crystals and between the base emitter collector. So that's a good one. But they all have it. Every one of these have it. This is why I replaced all these transistors. I could have just wiped it off with a Q-tip and just continued on, but there's no guaranteeing that I would have got all the crystals off, or all the bits, and it could have continued on. This one here. I don't know why the center conductor doesn't have it. Just the emitter and base. Look at this one. So it's really fuzzy. So if you left this alone and let it continue, they'd eventually touch. And this one's pretty close. This one's pretty close to touching. And then you have bigger problems. This one's not bad at all. But every one of these has it. And it has something to do with the potential difference between the conductors and electron flow, and I think in this case, the silver is migrating out from inside the body of the transistor. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the mechanics of this. I don't know the physics of it. And I don't understand why the center leg doesn't have it. Looks like it's the same. Let me get a Q-tip. Get a cotton swab here and let's wipe this one. Cotton bud's too big, it won't get in the corner. Oh yeah, okay. You can see there's a difference here between this part, the top part, and the leg. I think the top part is all silver plated, that's why it does that. And this is common for all of these transistors that were made in the 70s. They started doing this silver. I guess well, when transistors were in their infancy, they used gold. Oops. They used gold as a plating metal. And gold was getting expensive, so they decided to switch to silver. Every single one is like that. That's why they all got changed. This one looks not bad, but then it looks like, what's going on here? Is that solder? Maybe the legs are tin plated. I don't know. But this happens on tin as well. You've heard of tin whiskers. This is called silver migration. All right. That's it for this one. I'm going to wrap this one up here. I really enjoy this Marantz, this receiver. This is the kind of receiver that's going to turn my head. I want to say I never was a big Marantz fan, but this is going to maybe turn my opinion on these. I really enjoyed listening to this before I started on the bench with it, and I know I'm going to enjoy it after too. This thing has a great tuner in it. I just love the tuner. This is probably the best, one of the best tuners I've ever come across in a receiver. It is so nice to work with and listen to. Anyways, enough of me rambling on. I'm going to end this here. So take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
As molasses. Now what really knocked me out was the cheap sunglasses.